Hello everyone and welcome to the review of the Fuuton 2 from Helifar. If you do not know, Helifar is a brand name held by Gearbest. Previously Helifar was named Fury B. There's a long story why Fury B, why Helifar, so that's not interesting for our review. What I want to say about this Helifar Fuuton 2 quadcopter is the fact that it's mostly not a Helifar, but it's actually more of a Kopis racing quadcopter. Most of the parts are from Holybro, so this thing is actually a Holybro Kopis. I'm not going to state that because it does use the kakute F4 flight controller, the Atlatl HV transmitter. So all the parts are selected parts. It uses a RunCam micro swift camera, so it does use very good components, and it comes with actually a manual to set it up, and that's not bad. It shows how to bind it, how to use smart audio and things like that. It also comes with a pagoda antenna, which is labeled to be designed by Martin and so on. So this thing is quality wise very good. Crystal propellers, just like the Holybro Kopis propellers. RunCam label, because this thing does have a RunCam camera. OSD setup menu with wires, also additional flex cable for the IMU of the Holybro flight controller, and goodies like that. And now let's see the quadcopter itself. The quadcopter itself looks just like that, and it's actually really nicely made. I like this wide plate here. All the components are hidden inside. The camera is really well protected between the arms and the top plate. The top plate has a label on it, and it's not painted, it's made by something there mechanically. The motors feel very silky. They don't have that cogging noise. It will be interesting how they perform. The receiver is there and the video transmitter also. The buzzer is held in place by something. It's not dingling around. It's glued actually onto the frame, which is a good thing. Underneath it has this really nice velcro, which is not textile. It has some kind of a rubbery feel, so it will not allow the battery to slip. It has a nice padding here for the battery underneath, and it has this protection foil over, which you can remove, of course. The ACs are on the arms, and I'm going to take the cap from the lens. The camera holder is 3D printed, if you can observe, and it is actually a RunCam, as they say. The arms are individual. You can replace just one arm, you don't have to replace the frame, and it has two bottom frames stacked one over the other, so this should give it a lot of resistance during crashes. The antennas are not in the best place, but they are kind of protected, while the video transmitter antenna has a standoff here. This thing is good because it will protect the transmitter from crashes. It will not break if your antenna breaks, but I don't like this bend here. As you can see, this thing stays next to the battery, and when the battery will shift in case of a crash, it can break this pigtail. So good design, but not all the design is good until the finish. Let's do a quick test to see if this thing powers on. So I'm going to connect the video transmitter antenna. This is very important. So the antenna is now connected, and I'm going to use the love to be hated graphene battery. that should be enough for it to start, and going to power on this small video receiver monitor, and I have image. And I can tell you one thing, this lens has a huge wide angle. Of course not huge, but it has a really large FOV comparing with other quadcopters that I have recently tested. This thing is really wide, really wide. It catches a lot of details around the house. It sees me almost as a 90-degree angle. You can see me there, and the quadcopter is facing 90 degrees in that direction from me. So this thing is really wide. I can estimate probably 107 degrees FOV or things like that. So I don't know how this will perform during flight, but it is nice that having a very large FOV, you can see a lot of things around, so you can actually evade some branches or things like that. But having such a great FOV makes all the details be very small, and if there are power wires or very small branches, you may not observe them until it's too late. So it's a trade-off. I don't know, I'm going to see that in real life how it is when I'm going to test fly this, and that it's going to happen right away. So I'm going to bind this to my transmitter, check some settings in the CleanFlight, BetaFlight, or what this thing does have installed, and if it's okay or not. I'm not going to tweak the settings, I'm not going to change the PIDs or other things. I'm just going to fly this out of the box. So I'm just going to check channels and things like that, and set my arm switches, and I'm going to take this out. So let's see how it performs. So here I am, prepared for a short test flight. It's not going to be anything crazy, it's not going to be FPV, it's just going to be a line of sight test to see how this thing performs and how it works outside the box, because that is also an important aspect when you are testing quadcopters that came from China. You need to see if everything is right, so it's a good idea that the first flight is a normal flight, a gentle flight, to see if all things are okay. So I'm going to search here for the channel. I'm also going to record the DVR footage. And I'm going to do a quick check. So we have beeping and we have armed. Alright, so that is fine. And yes, now I have DVR footage. Well, actually not DVR footage, but I have clear reception, and I'm going to start the recording. The recording is now working, and let's take this thing into the air. Wow, that is very nimble. The punch is incredible on this thing, and it's very locked in. It will not drift, and it will not yaw to any direction when you punch it. That is really nice. And I'm not flying with the best battery. It's a 2200 milliamps battery, so it's rather large. Usually you use 1300 milliamps batteries on this type of quadcopters, and also it's a 4S, and I think it's a 60C rate battery, so that's rather heavy, but it flies extremely well. Really nice. I don't know how to explain the feeling exactly, but it's more like flying on rails, but you don't fly on rails. it's very precise. It doesn't have any kind of drift or anything that when you end executing a command, it's there and it has finished doing it. It will not continue. It's extremely pleasant. Extremely pleasant to fly it. And I'm now trying something else. Let's see. I'm gonna try to see if it works or not. Nope, it doesn't work as I wanted it to do. That is the altitude hold function of the Omnibus F4. So it's not doing its good job. Oops, and my mistake there, but that's not the problem. The quad just wanted to get a feeling of the grass, the wet grass of the morning. Alright, and it's now time to fly it again. Okay, the antenna was bent a bit, but that's no problem because it's now bent straight up again. Do I still have recording here? Yes, I still have recording there, which is great. So now back to put you into the air. That's great. So let's fly a bit, just line of sight. Really nice stuff. Let's do some yaw rate test also. Wow, and that is plenty of yaw rate. And now I'm in stabilized mode, so you can't expect crazy thing, but let's try some out of the box tilt and a roll, and that's plenty to get some really nice speed. So this thing is very fast out of the box also. Yes, you can mess around with it without actually modifying anything. No PIDs, no settings, nothing. It's just out of the box. Just bind it with the transmitter, and that was it. Charge one pack and it's ready for a flight. Nothing more, nothing less. And I love this type of quadcopters. And the elusive branch has caught it. It's time to take it down from there, from somewhere. And it should be somewhere in here, and now I have to find it. Good thing that it has a beeper. Well, this is really smart. It came down from the tree by itself. So this is turning also into a reliability test. Crashed it 2 times in a few minutes, and this thing still flies probably, and we are going to check that. Let's see, any kind of damage. It doesn't seem to, just some grass, especially on the lens here. So I'm going to do a quick lens clean. Alright, the lens is now clean. That tree was very nasty there. It simply jumped in front of the quadcopter. It's amazing what trees we have here. So yep, it flies again. And does it still have a punch? Wow, it's still the same locked in punch. So I'm calling this the punch copter, because this thing really likes to do punches extremely well. I'm enjoying this very much. And look at it, how stable it simply flies. Okay, so it's stabilized, I'm flying it slow, but there's no shake, no vibration, no weird things, no, it simply flies amazing. And this gives me an idea that I want to try with this quadcopter if I have enough time. I'm actually planning of installing a GPS antenna onto the flight controller and making this something a cross between a racing quadcopter and a GPS quadcopter, and to have it with position hold and automatic return, things like that, crazy things like that. Especially that now you can flash F4 omnibus flight controllers with R2Plane software. That would be an interesting choice on such platform. Why? Because this thing has huge power and you can fly it with some better batteries. By the way, I'm not doing anything, it's just flying by itself. I just wanted to check the battery voltage. Oh, there is still enough juice for a bit of more play, but I don't want to take another crash from low battery. Impressive, really impressive. And I'm starting to get dizzy, so no more turning around. Not those trees again, not above the trees again. Those trees are some creepy trees. They not only jump in front of the quadcopter, but they also get underneath it as they want to catch it from underneath. Very dangerous trees, I tell you that. So I'm really enjoying this stuff. I'm enjoying it that much that you can catch this with your hand, and that tells you a lot of things about how stable this thing is and how well it works outside the box with no tuning whatsoever. No tuning whatsoever. This thing flies amazingly well. So I'm going to stop the DVR recording to be sure that it's saved, and I think that was saved. Alright, it's now time to pack it up. I think that I'm going to fly this a bit some more, and in a proper field where I have space to get some real speed with it. But until then, you have a basic idea of how this thing works out of the box, and I really like it. They did a really nice job with this quadcopter. So until my next video, see you and bye bye.